Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Q&A for the SF Shorts Film Festival 2022. I'm Jason Wolos, the Shorts programmer here at SF Indie Fest. We are lucky enough to have two filmmakers with us for the program Epic Science Fiction Shorts. Hey, filmmakers.
Hi,
How's it going?
Thanks for being here, guys. Where are you calling in from? Mickey.
Barcelona, Spain.
Woo! All right. All the way around the globe, across the pond. Thank you. John, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Chicagoland, so much less interesting or exciting than Barcelona.
But still a good town. Been there many times.
I love I love Chicago. No qualms here. Chicago's
Uh,
great.
and beautiful time of year there right now.
It still is. We're getting to the point where the temperature's dipping, and it just sort of like fall, first day of fall, and it was like, nope, we're done with all that. So
And
it was a beautiful summer, but
nice.
it's over. Summer is over now.
And how about Barcelona, Mickey? How's things looking there?
Nice and sunny. I guess it dips quite later here. We only have about 3 or 4 months of winter, so it's pretty nice and warm. It's pretty nice and warm.
Well, let me get people familiarized with your faces and your movies. Mickey, what is your movie? Briefly introduce yourself, your role in your movie, and what the movie is about, real quick.
Okay, cool. So my short film is called Bygone. It's my first short film, and I really wanted to just challenge myself and make a film where I could tell a whole story without necessarily having any dialogue in it. So that's what we did, and I directed the film, I wrote the film, but obviously I had an incredible crew that worked with me, and it couldn't have been possible without them and without the actress who played such a big role, Melanie Smith. And yeah, looking forward to it being the first of many.
Right on. Good job. Well done. John, how about you? Brief introduction, please.
Yeah, so my name is John Klein. I'm the co-director and co-producer of Static Space. My cohort in crime, Kate Black Spence, was the writer of the film. It's based on a book by John Cannon titled Can You Hear Me? And John wrote that book almost with Kate in mind for this character of Jamie. And so when Kate started to write plays, she adapted this book into a play and then talked with me about it after I read the play, and we were like, we should make this into a movie. And so here we are. We made it into a movie, and she is also the lead actress in the film. So Kate is a quadruple threat in this movie, which is really awesome to see. And
Yeah.
collaborating with her on it was really fun.
Is she the one at the base making radio transmissions out to outer space?
Yeah, so she's in the barn. She's the one, like she's like, Tom Hanks in Castaway, right? Like she's the one carrying the whole movie essentially,
Right.
and it's this disembodied voice on the radio for most of the movie that's speaking to her.
Well, let me jump right into that question just about the actors and performances. Both of them, female leads, um, truly believable, wonderful to watch, engaging, authentic. How'd you get
Thank you.
that performance out of her?
I wish I could say I got the performance out of it. I think that's the nature of the collaboration we had on set and before we got to set. For the viewers, I mean, the film, you guys know that the film is very much about this one woman's sort of experience as she intercepts these radio calls from an astronaut orbiting the Earth, and how these two women sort of strike up a connection and basically fall in love in this very unusual long distance relationship. And there was a lot of process of, for both Kate and for Mariah Copeland, who plays Noah, the astronaut, we had rehearsals, and this was pandemic, pre-vaccines. All of our auditions were on Zoom. All of our rehearsals were on Zoom. And that kind of fed into this dynamic we had where, we couldn't be in the same room with Mariah for most of the shoot. So our sound mixer, Matt Cholera, had Kate outfitted with an earpiece, and Mariah piped in her audio from her apartment,
Cool.
in Chicago while we were filming in Mount Carroll.
Huh.
And so I had my AirPods in, listening to both of them and giving direction over my AirPods to Mariah,
Wow.
and talking to Kate, who was on set, and Matt was getting all of that audio at once. And what would happen was, because we were on Zoom, there was a little bit of a delay.
Right.
And that kind of actually worked, like, in our favor, right? Because she's in space, there would be that.
Right.
And Kate
Makes
would be
sense.
sort of waiting for those kinds of things. So it rather than having somebody on set who is just reading lines and then we would put Mariah's audio in later on in post. Mariah's audio in the movie is the audio we recorded on set. Like that's her talking on the radio, essentially. And so it gave this very realistic, lived-in connection that they could have, both from a technical perspective, but also because, well, that was built into the process of how these two actresses work together, which was really fun.
Yeah, fun fact about your filmmaking process. Wow. Mickey, how about you? Your lead actor?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting. Melanie was a friend of mine, is a friend of mine, but was when we started this. She's actually.
I thought you were going to say she's not a friend anymore because of the filmmaking procedure. Just,
No.
It happens.
It happens. It happens. So she's actually a model. She was a model for many years. And I've known her for several years, and she always wanted to act. And I felt like she was such an interesting character that it was really a big part of, it was a big part of my inspiration for the character of the film, right? So I couldn't really see this film happening without her. Any other actress just wouldn't have worked. Now, for a first-time actress, I did put her through it because she had, I think, not to give any spoilers away, but she had about more than a 4-minute sequence shot, and she had to act in a 7.5-minute film where basically no one speaks and it's all about her emotions. And she did just incredible. We were completely ready with, if necessary, fake tears. We were completely ready to have people help her with certain expressions, and she didn't need any of it. When she had to cry, she cried. When she had to, she was just a complete natural. Nice. And ever since then, she's been acting a lot. She moved to New York. She's got a really good agent, and it really pushed her to.
Yeah. I wonder if modeling had kind of aided her, prepared her for.
Absolutely.
Right?
She wasn't someone who was shy in front of the camera, so it definitely helped.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'm just going to jump all over the place here. In your short movie, lots of special effects, I think, and they're so seamless. I mean, how did you create this apocalyptic world, if that's correct?
Well, it's quite interesting. So I wanted to make this film that would be a little bit different, right? I didn't just want to make a short film. I wanted to do something different. And I don't remember where I saw it, but I heard someone say, figure out what you have, what you can get, right? And do it with that. So I had Melanie, who I just found extremely interesting as a character. And then I have this friend who has, his family has this land where they have several homes, right? They have this land where they have several homes, and he's an executive producer on the project, and he said, hey, we could use that land, right? So it has one home and another home. It almost looks like it could be New Jersey suburbs, but it was filmed in Barcelona. So
wow.
I had this land that had roads and homes, and I just said, hey, I don't need any permission here from anybody. Right. I could just make this one road the end of the world, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to call it. And we just used whatever we had. The whole crew was amazing. Everyone pretty much worked for free. Location was for free.
Wow.
And we did do the special effects, which I'm not gonna say exactly what we did because that would spoil it. But
impressive. Well done. You could be referring to Robert Rodriguez. He said it. Even Roger Corman way back when. Make a list of what you have and then make a movie. He did El Mariachi that way, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, well done. Your space, even though it's just that one location or that small area, feels much larger. It feels like the whole world has, died off, if you will, and left. So well done.
Thank you very much. I'm
John,
glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, John, similar thing. Do we ever go into outer space in your movie? But it feels like we are up there with her.
We don't have the money to do that sort of thing. So I mean, we were writing the script because the play takes place both in Jamie's barn and in Noah's ship, the Odie,
Right.
because it's theater and you can kind of get away with these sort of abstractifications of these locations. But when we sat down and Kate sat down to write the short film, it was very much okay. Let's tell this story from one perspective. Let's tell it from Jamie's perspective in the barn, and so it's a sci-fi movie, but it's very grounded. So how do you sort of build that sci-fi language into the movie? That, you know, we have these drone shots of, you know, the surrounding rural area, and we sort of envisioned that as well. That's Noah's perspective. Noah's orbiting overhead, and she sort of looks down on Jamie in this barn.
Yeah.
And you have the sort of widescreen look. I think, you know, if we could have afforded to shoot anamorphic, we would have, because anamorphic gives that kind of sci-fi feel.
Right.
But we still shot widescreen. The color palettes we were using, all those things are sort of like, well, okay, listen, this is a very down to earth character, you know, love story, but the sci-fi sort of lingo from a visual perspective is still there, to kind of give people insights into that. But like that our budget was, you know, we paid our cast and crew, and we had this location that was just perfect for everything. But also because of COVID, we had to sort of isolate ourselves. We were all staying in these little cabins on site. You know, there were all those sorts of things we had to contend with. If we had had to also build a space station or do any of these other things, I think it would have also taken away from the mystery of it.
Yeah,
Right.
no.
Jamie's relationship with her. So it's good, I think, to not have that sort of like, we get away with showing less.
Less is more. And
yeah,
what comes to mind is the Jaws, the making of Jaws story, right? Where they could get the shark to work, and that's better, right? They made it
yeah,
left it to our imagination. Because both your films, I'm telling you, they really have a sense of placement in space. It's like it's atmospheric, you know. So amazing, well done.
thank you.
So, you know, were there challenges? I mean, there's always challenges making a movie. I know it's like silly question. It's a simple question, but maybe challenges particular to these short films. John, I'm on you still. Let's hear you.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, there were challenges, but
Making movies is hard.
funny. Like, yeah, and it's something you don't ever think about. It's like, oh well, yeah, it's just one person in a barn. How hard could that be? And well, I mean, the COVIDness of it all meant that they, you know, thinking about social distancing, that influences what camera, what lenses we're using, and stuff like that. It influences how big the crew can be. It influenced, you know, how we prepared food, and we sort of bubbled there, so we had to bring everything with us. You know, those kinds of protocols were a big part of it, but it was also things like weather. We filmed over one weekend, and that weekend just happened to be just a really bitterly cold fall weekend. So being in a barn with a concrete floor, that's just like Kate pulls a blanket, and that blanket was originally just going to be like a soundproofing blanket for Matt, and she pulls it up on her because she's just so cold while she's filming the scene. And we just kept those sorts of little details in, but the last night of filming, you can kind of see it as she's getting rain droplets sort of falling on her hand. You can almost see in the background that it's actually starting to snow at the end of our last night of filming. So that was a real challenge, sort of navigating those shifts in weather, and how does that affect our schedule and just performance. You know, it's supposed to be a very warm movie, and it definitely doesn't feel when we're filming it like it's a warm movie.
But
so
you wonder, and
I
think the answer is yes, that those kind of things, filming the pandemic, the cold, the space, you know, it benefited you. You can't realize it at the moment, but in the final product, you're like, it comes through.
Yeah, I mean, well, you were talking with Mickey about, you know, the post-apocalyptic location and stuff like that, and I had done a movie called Chrysalis way back in the day that was also very post-apocalyptic. We shot it in the dead of winter, like December, January in, you know, Chicagoland, Midwest is miserable, like biting cold, 10 below zero. And we shot in these abandoned buildings, and all of that atmosphere and just feeling cold, like, contributed to that sort of desolation that the characters felt. Like, it enhanced the performances, it enhanced the cinematography. Like, same thing, Mickey, you were talking about with this road that you had with all these houses, and it's just, it looks abandoned, it feels like that. And when you're on set as an actor and actress looking at that, it it seeps into you a little bit.
Yeah,
Like the way
exactly.
you perceive the world is different, and that shows up on camera. So I feel like, yeah, like all of those things, and the isolation we were all feeling from COVID at that time really seeped into the storytelling and the
Yeah,
performances, and that was a really kind of beautiful and cathartic thing for us as
yeah,
artists. Like we just wanted to make something,
yeah.
and now
Cool.
it's this thing that kind of resonates with people.
Right on. Mickey, anything, any difficulties making your movie, or it was all a piece of cake?
I mean, to be honest, it was all one big difficulty. I mean, me, look, I'm a, I'm a, I'm not a really big sci-fi guy, you know. I'm like more of a like kind of, let's say Guy Ritchie, Tarantino, Scorsese. That's kind of my thing, right? That's what I really love, and that's what I really love to write. But I can't explain it. This script just came in my head with that location and with this actress, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. I had to film it, right? But I have to say that it was a really big production for a first time filmmaker. But I was so lucky to have such an amazing crew and such an amazing actress that it just flowed, you know.
Yeah.
It just went well. I would say that most of my challenges came in post, right? Because I'm not such a big sci-fi guy, and I had to work with effects, and I had to figure out how to make a almost 8 minute film with 0 words spoken, really engaging with the soundtrack and with the sound design, and every little sound you hear and every little detail you see. I think that's where the challenge really came in, and
Well, and
yeah.
those challenges, by you meeting them, made for a good film. I mean, that's what I think happens. If you meet those challenges, it only rewards your project, your film.
Absolutely, and like I said, I'm not necessarily a big sci-fi guy, and you can kind of also see that there, right? Like we've been selected to tons of festivals so far.
Huh,
Luckily, I mean
right on.
we've been really lucky. But some festivals put it in sci-fi, some festivals put it in thriller, some festivals put it in experimental, some
Ah,
festivals put it in drama. You know,
right.
so it's quite interesting. You know.
So, you didn't choose sci-fi. Like, you didn't say like I'm gonna make a sci-fi film. It's just kind of like wherever this inspiration, this spark came from, kind of told itself.
I have to say, I'm also a big David Lynch guy. So
Okay, cool.
this whole not understanding exactly what it is or what's going on is kind of also attractive to me.
Yeah.
So I didn't necessarily say, oh, this is going to be sci-fi. I just said this is going to be the story,
Right.
and
And David
yeah,
Lynch is an influence or inspiration, and kind of seeped into the
absolutely,
work. Yeah, you can see that.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, John, how about you? Kind of the same question. Sci-fi. I know it came from the writer's play. You said,
Mhm.
but are you like
No,
attracted to sci-fi? It's like I got to make another sci-fi movie.
no, I mean, like I love sci-fi and horror, sort of my bag. Like as a filmmaker, that's what I love to sort of delve into, and those are the movies that very much influence me as a storyteller. But what I think was great about this movie was like whether you like sci-fi or not, it doesn't matter. Like it's just this story is a very sort of down to
Yeah.
earth human story. Like I tell Kate all the time, like when I read the script, what I was thinking of was my wife. I was thinking of like the long distance relationship we had for 2 years when we were initially dating,
Mhm.
and what that was like talking with someone on the phone for hours at a time, across the country. And that informed my sort of emotional connection to the material. Kate, as a bisexual filmmaker, like she really put so much of herself into the story and the character, and the character was sort of written with that identity in mind. And I think that's what's great about it, is by being this very specific feminine story of these two women falling in love, it actually winds up being something very universal where everyone can kind of have an entry point into it.
Yeah.
And that's like the best kind of story, I think. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter whether it's sci-fi or romance or this, it's this very specific moment in time for these characters. And by getting a window into that, everyone gets a window into sort of whatever they're going through in
Right.
their
Right.
lives at that
Right.
moment.
And I mean, it could, be like Mickey's film has been categorized in other categories. Yours could be in other categories as well, whether it's
Yeah.
romance, female, or relationship. But yeah, it's a nice film like that too. Many genres, if you will. Um,
Yes.
we only have time for one or two more. I'm on you still, John. Did you learn anything about yourself or filmmaking?
Oh, geez. No,
Are
like
you changed?
yes. Well, here's the thing. Like, what's cool. So, like, our next project coming up, not Kate and I, but my next project, I co-directed another film, a feature film with my writing partner Steve Niss, called tentatively, it's called "Never Not Yours Always," and it's a character drama about this family. And we did the shoot was effectively the exact same sort of shoot that Static Space was. Like, we shot it for minuscule amounts of money in one location with a crew of 7 people, counting Steve and I as the co-directors. And that learning that we could do that on Static Space, we did that in 3 days, and it was a 20-page script. Well, we had a 106-page script for this other movie, and we shot that in 8 days. And I think Static
Wow.
Space proved to both Steve and I that was something that was doable, and would not, like, we wouldn't be able to, wouldn't have to sacrifice the quality of the filmmaking or the quality of the performances, because we sort of knew, well, Static Space was something that was really successful, that was done in a certain way, and we know that that is something that's duplicable and achievable later on. So I think that was something that really,
not only sharpened your filmmaking skills, but reinforced or bolstered your confidence and can-do attitude.
Yeah, like, absolutely. And also just like it further proves, and obviously every filmmaker goes through this, but how important collaboration is. And we just had, and Mickey, you said the same thing. Like, we had the best crew and the best cast for Static Space. Like, I would work with any one of those people again and just follow them into the fire. Like, that's what you want. You want that group of people who just, you're going into battle. Like, you want to have those people at your side and know that you can rely on them, and that you share that sort of creative blood with them through that process. So we really had that, and that was really cool.
Your casting crew appreciates that. They're watching right now. Mickey, how about you? I'm sure you learned many things. What's one thing you may have pulled from this experience?
I learned a lot. I would say the one thing probably is
do less special effects.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, it's the usual thing, when you look back on something you've already done, even though you're happy with it, you always see mostly the things that you did wrong, right?
So that never changes, let me tell you.
Yeah. So that's the best way to learn, right? So at least I have that, but also what John was saying is the crew. I mean, I wanted to do a 4.5 minute sequence shot, and if I wouldn't have had an incredible Steadicam operator, my film wouldn't have been what I imagined in my head. And if I wouldn't have had this incredible cinematographer in every moment of every scene, it just wouldn't have worked. So I would say the best thing I learned is to trust your crew and give them the freedom and
hire and cast well from the get-go, from the beginning, right?
Absolutely.
Well, we only have time for one more maybe thing. Mickey, I'm on you. Do you want to add anything else I didn't ask you? Any other comments, last parting words before we sign off?
No, not really. I would like to thank you guys for giving us a platform for showing our film. I would like to thank everyone who will take part of it and join and come to the theater, watch it online, the crew, everyone that was involved in the film and everyone that's involved in your festival. Really very glad to collaborate in any way possible. And when John is done, I would love just if you could tell us just a tiny bit about your festival, like a really short description from your personal in your personal words, rather than something we might find online, right? I would just like to know.
You mean his film?
No, I mean you about the festival.
Oh, me, Jason. You said John. I'm Jason. Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
yeah. So when I'm done with my half of this question, you want to talk about the festival.
And I didn't put my name up there. Go ahead. Any last words? Anything you'd like to share that I didn't ask you, John?
No, just like you know, if Kate were here, I think she would talk a lot about sort of the representation in the film and like being able to make films that feature, you know, diverse casts and crews, diverse stories, things that, you know, you don't normally sort of see in the mainstream. And it's in the LGBTQ world, from a filmmaking perspective, most of those stories deal with trauma. Like they deal with like horrible things that happen to people who are lesbian or gay or bisexual. And so like the fun of this movie was showcasing a story that, you know, no spoilers, I don't think, but that have a genuinely happy ending. Like showing a story that has that kind of approach to that genre of filmmaking was something that meant a lot to both of us, because those stories don't always get told. And that's what I think what's fun about film festivals like this in general is like you get a chance to put so many different types of stories out there that wouldn't get the time of day otherwise. So that's been a really invigorating and fulfilling part of the festival circuit for us, is getting to just see just an incredible diverse account of just all these different world stories. So that's to Mickey's point. Thank you guys so much for giving us that platform and allowing us to be a part of that.
Our pleasure. Couldn't do it without you guys. Wouldn't be a festival without the filmmakers. And thank you for not only submitting to our festival, but just completing your films. Not just making them, but getting them done. I'm a filmmaker too. And Mickey, real quick, I don't want to bore people because they already know about our festival, but we're a long-standing independent film festival believing in supporting independent movies. It's part of the Shorts Festival, is part of SF Indie Fest, which has maybe 6 festivals. The founder, Jeff Ross, I think, created this festival in 1998, maybe.
Wow.
And you can go online and click About Us and see the whole history. But it has since grown to support independent filmmaking of all sorts. There's now like a segment or a festival. It's the Documentary Festival. There's the Environmental Green Film Festival. There's kind of the Eccentric Bizarre Festival called a Hole in the Head Festival. So there's maybe 4 or 5 different festivals associated with SF Indie Fest, all to support independent filmmakers like you and I that maybe don't get the views, the eyeballs that they deserve, because you know, larger festivals have certain agendas, whereas we don't. It's to support you guys. It's purely on the merits of your creation. So well done.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a
Awesome.
great festival. I was a fan of it before I became staff. You know, so
Nice.
yeah. Well, anyways, we got to go. Guys, I hope to meet you in person someday. Keep in touch. Again, congratulations on these films and good luck on your future films. I hope to see more from you.
Thanks
Thanks
so
so
much.
much. Really great
All
to
right.
be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Ciao.